Today we're going to go with 4 vintage Willys Jeeps on the Hole in the Rock Trail west of Blanding, Utah. These are the 4 guys that went. That's myself, Stan Fuller on the left, Jeff Petrovich, Jesse Combs, and Alan Kohler on the right. We parked our trailers and our tow rigs by this old abandoned half track here. Got our Jeeps off the trailers and ready for the trail. Here's our 4 Jeeps. First one there is Alan's CJ3A, he calls Thumper. Then my 48 CJ2A that I call Grandpa's Jeep. On the left there is Jeff's Willys MB, he calls Bam Bam. And then to the far left is Jesse's MB. I don't think his MB has a name that I know of. There's the old engine in the half track, just waiting for somebody to come along and give it a tune-up. Fire it up. This trail starts out from the half track. Really, it's just a groomed dirt road. We could have taken our trailers and tow rigs ways further up the road. Pretty smooth and nice. The Hole in the Rock Trail is a trail carved out by early Utah pioneers when they were trying to move from, well, southwestern Utah to eastern Utah. And they crossed over these barren rocky plateaus and mesas, and then they went down and crossed the Colorado River. And when they tried to get down to the Colorado River, there was a big cliff to get down to the river. And they found a crack that they blasted out and dug out to get their teams and wagons down, and they called it the Hole in the Rock, to get their teams and wagons down to the river and across the river. Well, the part of the trail that we're on is on the east side of the river, the second part of their trail. They did do some blasting and road building on this side that I'll show you a little later. This side of the river is actually a rougher trail than the west side of the river up to the point where they crossed the river. As we're traveling along here, the trail starts to get a little more rough, a little more difficult and challenging the further we go along. Driving down here to the trailhead, we came through snowstorms and big snowfalls actually, and we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do this trail, but it cleared up enough for us to get on the trail. It was actually pretty nice. You can see in the background there were some kind of threatening clouds almost the whole time that we were there, but we didn't get too much precipitation, a little bit when we camped. But sometimes it's a little hard to follow the trail on this slick rock. A lot of people haven't been out there. There's not tracks or marks on the rock. You can get sidetracked a little bit. I was leading the group here, and I was using the Omix off-road app. We had it marked out, but even with that, sometimes we get a little sidetracked. In some areas they had some like stakes driven in the ground, like pieces of rebar to kind of show the way of the trail. They weren't always there when you needed them, but they were in a lot of places. It's pretty windy when we were out there all the time. It was late March, just the week before Easter, and so it was cool sometimes, but pretty nice. This is a spot where I lost the track a little bit. Had to get out and look around, figure out where we were at. While I was looking around, Jesse behind us, he actually looked around and found the track. So he headed down the hill in the right spot, and the rest of us followed along behind him. So here's Jesse coming down.
You missed it. You could have went that way.
These guys are pretty good. They're pretty patient with me when I get off the track a little bit. None of us had ever been on this trail before. Eventually we'll get down to the bottom of this hill and there'll be a sign that says there's a intersection there to the right to Lake Canyon, to the left continue on to Hole in the Rock. The Lake Canyon area is where the original pioneers went down through, and they tell me that the road that they went on and they followed is washed out down there now. You can't get clear through. That's why we came around this way, which is the way everyone goes now, I believe.
What were you saying?
I said, I think, so back this way is Lake Canyon. We came down this way with kind of a bypass sort of thing, the cutoff, because the Lake Canyon road, I've been told, is washed out now.
Oh.
I believe that's how the pioneers came through, was Lake Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we're getting more on their path now, I believe.
Their path.
The pioneers.
Okay. All right. And that's the Hole in the Rock right there. That's where the sign's pointing. No? No, okay. All right. Okay. If you work your way over that way, I think you'll get up it like that. But it's not as big a deep.
This is a spot where we kind of got separated, and two of us went up high there and two came down low. There's Jesse, seeing if he can get up high where we are. I didn't like this spot very much coming down off that ledge.
Just come on down. Come on down, Captain.
Steep drops are my least favorite kind of wheeling.
Really? That one you could go up. Of course, up would be more fun than, or get less scary than down, probably. Yes, thank you.
Eventually, we found this little dry campground. Had this sign there, Dead Crow Campground. We circled up our Jeeps and put this tarp up between them. You can kind of see a little bit of snow and sleet starting to come down a little bit. Wasn't too bad though. Some of us put up tents. We had a little propane fire here that we cooked our dinner on under the tarp. Made it kind of cozy.
Welcome to Camp Jeep.
Don't sweat the trail. Let pull the rock, whatever. You're not.
The next day, we got a little bit worried about fuel, so two of us jumped in with the other two, and we headed up. The
So
first
right
thing
here,
we came
this is
to
where
is
they
this
brought their wagons
dugway
from.
that the pioneers built.
They dug this out and blasted it out.
That's
And then,
nuts.
you know, they had to hook extra horses up and stuff to bring them down this steep
Yeah.
slope. That's where what was it say, the mountain sheep or mountain goat
Yeah.
led them down this spot.
Oh, yeah, I heard the story,
This
yeah.
spot right here.
Yeah, Gray Mesa. Yeah. That's crazy.
So who are the mountain sheep?
Mountain sheep.
Sheep, animals.
They were trying to find a way, and they found it. They saw a sheep, so they went and followed the sheep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mountain sheep went they were praying their faces off. They saw this. Thank you for driving.
Well, sure. We had a wagon and some horses. Oh yeah, you could drive it. Look at that. This way's quicker.
Yeah. Down anyways.
Yeah.
Hiked up a little further, and there was another little dugway that they had dug out there.
There's something. What's that over there?
It was really quite the enterprise getting across here. They thought this trip would take them 6 weeks, and it took them 6 months. They had women and children, their whole families. Women were birthing babies on the trail and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Nope. Certainly they had to know how tough they were, no? Or they were doing the Lord's work and it didn't matter, I guess, huh? Yeah.
So the Jeep trail up on top of the mesa is different than the Pioneer wagon trail. It's probably the roughest part of the trail, really.
That's what's neat about wheeling.
At least that we experienced.
Everything's an old mining road or something like that. It's got a.
I've heard some local people call this climb up this hill Poopy Pants Hill. I'm not sure where the name come from. I'm sure there's a story somewhere, but I haven't heard it. Once again, we're taking just 2 Jeeps up this because we were a little bit worried about fuel, whether or not we'd have enough fuel. If I ever go on this trail again, I'll take more fuel than I did. I had 15 gallons, 10 in the gas tank, and 5 in the jerry can. I made it halfway there and back with my 10 gallons without having to dig into the jerry can, but I think that if I took 5 more gallons besides my 5 extra gallons, I'd be okay. It's 30 miles from the half track all the way to the end of the trail, and then 30 miles back. You'd think I could make that on 15 gallons, but we're in low range, low gear most of the time, so we're not getting great fuel mileage. This hill can be a little harrowing, especially if you're in a big rig. It gets a little narrow in spots, and there's one spot up here that wasn't too bad this time, but I've seen videos of people struggling on this spot up here because it's a deep hole and they've had to fill it in with dirt and sand. Our little rigs, we just went right through it, no problem. This is the spot here where some of the big rigs have trouble, and sometimes it's washed out more, at least from what I've seen in different videos. Eventually, after the climb up Poopy Pants Hill, you'll top out up on Gray Mesa, which is actually the road smooths out and it's just more like a regular dirt road for a ways. We followed that road over to the overlook of the San Juan River, which you'll see here in just momentarily. Yeah, here's the river overlook. Here's the San Juan River flowing down here through these bends, carved out in these canyons. It's headed over towards the Colorado River. It meets up over somewhere on the other side of this mesa. Because of our fuel situation, we decided to make that the end of our trail. We didn't follow it on out. I think it's about another 10 miles out to the end. But we turned around here and headed back out. Back down Poopy Pants Hill.
Say the name of this once.
This is a fun little spot on the way out. We came down this, so I didn't get a video of it, but going up it, it's kind of fun. Alan and Jeff, they like to try and slow crawl everything if they can. Jeff and Bam Bam's turn.
Same thing.
Eventually, we made it back to Dead Crow Camp and picked up the other Jeeps. And then on the way out, my frame broke in two right at the transmission cross member. Not a good deal. Jeff busted out his welding kit that he uses to stick weld with two 12-volt batteries hooked together. Patched it up good enough for me to get off the trail.
That makes sense, but
Here he is doing the welding. It's got me back to the trailer, but it did start to break loose on the way out. So we got back to town and borrowed some space in a shop. Jeff and Alan put a 3/8 thick plate behind there and bolted it together, made it stronger than new. And I wheeled the rest of the week of Easter Jeep Safari with it like that. It worked great. Thanks for watching.